I am designing a hypothetical gacha game where you are the manager for a startup cafe. These 3 characters are gonna be a starter trio, and they're based off iconic beverages commonly found in Singapore. First up, Teh C, my favorite drink, a ubiquitous sort of milk tea. Then Kopi O, which is black coffee with no creamer, another drink Singaporeans love. And then lastly, Yuanyang, which is coffee and tea mixed together. Let's get started. How are we gonna turn drinks into appealing designs? Well, we're not gonna go all date everything levels of wild design. We're designing more down-to-earth, relatable gijinkas that be fashionable. Oh my god, I am so bad at saying gijinkas nicely. I'll just say niren, which means the same thing as gijinka but in Chinese and with less syllables than humanization. So, the setting is all 3 characters are in the same neighborhood and they work at the same coffee shop. The concept is that this is a game where you hire baristas and employees and you open up more stores all around Singapore as you progress. So the way you get more baristas is through gacha mechanics or something. I don't really know game design. So you would start off with these 3 characters and then later on you can roll and get more rare characters who would be based off rarer and more expensive drinks. And I will be designing them in future videos if this video goes well. Okay, character 1, Teh C. So since they're all regular humans, I'm gonna give them all regular names. So Teh C shall now henceforth be called Tehmina. Yeah, I'm a naming expert in case you didn't know. If I only had $3, I would spend $1.50 on a Teh C to make me feel better. I very strongly associate the drink with comfort because I usually order it from coffee shop workers who I have a mutual familiarity with. I call them Teh C and brother and uncle, and then they call me Xiao Mei. It's very comforting to greet people happily and be greeted happily as well. If you were to work with Tehmina, she'd be a very reliable coworker. She's the one coworker you never really have any issue with. I'm actually thinking of a previous coworker I had during an internship. She was another intern. Shout out to her. She's probably in the top 5% of all coworkers of all time, but that's just my opinion. I imagine Tehmina as part of many volunteering committees and other groups. She's the very community-oriented sort, very sociable, and she has a very extensive social network. She would be a delightful barista to have in a small business because she's just naturally good at having that customer service vibe. But she'd also make her coworkers insecure. Sometimes her friends will come visit her at work, but it's a different friend every time. And she has a different inside joke every time, and they're always talking about plans together. So sometimes the other baristas feel a bit sad that they're not as popular. For all of my niren today, I'm gonna have to delve deeper than just the drink itself if I want to make an inspired design. I need to know more about the culture and the actual ingredient. So, Teh means tea in Malay, and C actually refers to Carnation brand evaporated milk. So, historically, Teh C originates from Indian Muslim vendors in Singapore and Malaysia, and they would brew it with tea dust and canned milk, which are more affordable ingredients. So for the tea dust, I was really inspired by a specific brand. I love old packaging designs, and I find Train brand tea dust in specific very striking. So other elements we could use are the iconic plastic drink bag, carnations because of the brand, even though I hate Nestle, and also cloth strainers. I also experimented a lot with references to foam and gradients and glass in general, and also ice cubes, although that part definitely did not work well. I did 4 different iterations of her that were colored, and I'm not even gonna bother counting my traditional art pieces and doodles of her. She has a lot of art because I felt very intensely about making her a good design. And I'm gonna be honest, it's because she's my first hijabi character on this channel, and I desperately want to prove that I know what I'm doing. Okay, I really want to look competent when it comes to drawing the people that I have grown up around. It's a pride thing. But I know, deep in my heart, it's okay if she can't live up to my unrealistic expectations of being the most fashionable hijabi character you've ever seen. Because I'm gonna be making more hijabi characters in the future anyways. So I tried out different tudung styles and colors and sleeves, and some of them were too plain, and then other designs were very contrived, but I guess they still look nice. I just think that if you were to look at her, you would not be able to guess what she's based off. I really like the Teh C bag. It's very on the nose, but otherwise all her designs are like really difficult to interpret as a Teh C drink. Yeah, so I kept juggling all the characters' designs at once. So I worked on the other two characters' designs, and then I incorporated Chinese elements into their outfits because I just love putting in cultural references in every design I make. It's just my number one hack of making my designs more interesting. Then I realized that it wouldn't be fair if I gave the other characters cultural inspiration, but I didn't give Tehmina any cultural inspiration. So I was like thinking of ways to do it. You can see here, I made her skirt based off a pre-draped sari. I could have tried giving her a kurta over jeans look, but I wanted to give her a skirt. But I'm definitely gonna design a character in a kurta over jeans look one day though, it's so peak. So I got this pinafore idea from this pin, and then it struck me like lightning, so I had to make a watercolor rough concept art as soon as possible. Very importantly, the dress straps are green, like the green strings of the iconic plastic teh bag. And of course, I'm gonna add in a lot of carnations because, you know, carnation brand milk. And then we're gonna put it like a border on the bottom, like sari fabric sometimes have thick borders like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the final design. Tada! Look at my beautiful girl. I think overall Tehmina is really pretty. Even if the bag is a bit avant-garde, I loved to experiment. I decided to add in a spoon and a small Teh C packet on her bag as keychains to see if those would act as hints to help people understand the bigger design and what she's supposed to represent. A lot of gacha game characters are very detailed anyway, and to be frank, these characters are actually really simple if you compare them to actual gacha game characters. They basically have Peppa Pig levels of detail compared to someone from Genshin Impact. I only wanted to design a gacha game because I love the idea of designing blind box characters or characters you can get randomly and by surprise, cause I love surprises. And she doesn't even need to be very flashy because she's a starter character. Now, let's move on to Coffee. Kopi O, or Cohen, is based off the layman Singaporean. He is characterized by very stereotypical Singaporean traits. He loves to complain, not just as stress relief but as a bonding activity. He's a pessimist, he's judgmental, but beneath it all, he's so fun to complain and gossip with. And he's always there for you when you really need him, which might be constantly. He'll like sigh and he'll scold you, and he might curse at you in a Chinese dialect, but he's still gonna help you mop the floor, you know? I don't actually drink Kopi O because I don't actually drink a lot of coffee in general, but a lot of people here, of course, love coffee. And Kopi O is the sort of coffee that you buy when you don't feel like spending $7 at a coffee shop. It's the affordable stuff that you can find in the shop downstairs. It's like $1.40. And you know who especially loves coffee shops a lot? Uncles. I'm actually basing his fashion sense off those old Chinese uncles, the ones who shuffle around the neighborhood and then they drink coffee, and then sometimes like they're like just sitting at the hawker center and then they start drinking with their friends at like 3 p.m. But like they're also retired, so I guess it's an age-appropriate hobby. They often wear button-ups and like khakis, but that's not really a lot to work with in terms of fashion. So let's think about kopi itself. Kopi just means coffee in Malay, and O is black in Hokkien. So kopi is made out of Nanyang coffee, which is a special roast made with margarine and sugar. The Hainanese Chinese arrived later than the other Chinese groups, so they learned to be in the service sector. So it was the Hainanese who developed these specific ways of roasting and brewing coffee by changing Western coffee to their own tastes and needs. Kopi O is also fun in Malaysia, but I'm talking about the Singapore version because I think it's over there, and also I haven't been to Malaysia in ages. So for his vibe, I'm going for a 25-year-old who is spiritually an uncle. I also have other elements to take inspiration from: coffee strainers, coffee beans, butter, and then it's like specifically this one mug. It's a classic mug. It's very recognizable as a cultural thing, and it's going to carry me for this whole design because let's just say designing Cohen was not a walk in the park. I struggled immensely to make him interesting. I blame it on the fact that he is a man. Well, kidding. I mean, not really. I chose a white button-up for that uncle feel, and then I made it oversized to make it stylish, for the youths. And then I went for a very obvious cup-shaped pocket over there. I planned for his pants to be inspired by those coffee strainers. I aimed for something with brown gradients. And because I always fall prey to my deepest instinct, which is to toss on cultural references, I made his clothes more Chinese, simply by replacing the buttons with Chinese knot buttons, the panko. Adding panko is a nearly foolproof way of making clothes more Chinese. I experimented with two main ways of doing so, straight down or to the side. So I also had to practice drawing him for the first time, and you can see how wonky the fella is. But it's okay, I still love him, even though his hair looks like that. His messed up hair is a reference to waking up with bedhead and needing coffee, but it's also a reference to one of my old neighborhood uncles. He walked around with hair like that, and I just think it's fun making art that reflects the people around you. So after doing the concept art, I decided to put the panko to the side so I can put the cup design on his shirt more obviously. I also wanted to add in more realism to portray Singapore's diverse religions and to make the setting more down to earth. I decided to give him a red string on his hand and a beaded bracelet. So this is like stuff that Buddhists wear. They have the red string. I struggle with drawing men that I can look at for more than 5 consecutive seconds, but I think he actually turned out okay. I am keeping his silly hair is so dumb. I love it. His glasses are supposed to be spoon-shaped, so I made them ovals. And we're gone to his final design. I really wanted to have his shirt be oversized because guys here kind of like wearing oversized stuff, but I think it's going out of trend. I made sure that he would have one button undone at the bottom because it shows he's a bit badly dressed, which I think is a very Singaporean thing. We just blame the weather for dressing maybe a bit too casual even in the workplace. In hindsight, I would have drawn him showing more skin because I'm drawing my next character with a crop top, so that way it's fair, but it is too late now. That's sad. I think that his design is boring but in an effective way. If you think about it in the gaming sense, it makes sense for Cohen to be boring because he's gonna be basically the first character you get. And two, I do actually think a lot of people in Singapore and also Malaysia, they will see that classic green pattern on his shirt and then the cup pocket, and then they'll get the gist that he's a kopitiam inspired character. So I think he's effective in that he represents the drink he is inspired by rather clearly. And three, I think he accurately represents the underwhelming sense of fashion most Singaporean guys have. Anyways, okay, so now we're gonna move on to the last drink, Yuanyang, which is also called Yuanyang in Cantonese. Sorry if I mispronounced that horribly. So Yuanyang is made of coffee and tea mixed together with milk and sugar. And actually, Yuanyang refers to the Mandarin duck. The phrase Yuanyang actually refers to both the female and male duck, which look different, but they make a perfect pair. So it's actually a phrase used to refer to pairs of things. For her design, I imagine her as being the nervous sort. She's really hyper and she's loud, but she's also polite. She's bouncing around everywhere, very easily restless because of all the caffeine content that's in the drink. That's just the vibe I get based off the drink. I often drink it when I'm feeling a bit sleepy, but honestly, it doesn't really help sometimes. A lot of Chinese people in Singapore, if they have Chinese names, sometimes they'll have a legal Chinese name, but then they'll have an unofficial English name that everybody calls them. I don't really have any alternative Chinese names for Yuanyang aside from literally Yuanyang but with different words. Maybe Yuan for circle, Yang for sun. I think she's definitely the sort to also have an English name. So her English name would be Ducky as a reference to the ducks. Yuanyang's fashion is inspired by those kitschy, colorful clothes some aunties sell at their small clothing shops. They often have Mandarin colors and bright mismatched patterns. I wish I could show you a video, but I'm unfortunately unable to record any footage of it. But I also wanted Yuanyang to be modern because she is only in her 20s. So her fashion is also based off HE2, which sells a lot of Cheongsam inspired clothes. Although nowadays there are just way more Cheongsam inspired fashion stores and lines popping up in general. I knew at once I wanted to put her in a Qipao inspired top. So I replaced the panko with little bows to make it more girly and also to represent milk, although maybe I could have made it a bit more obvious. And then I made sure that both sides have mismatched fabrics. So one side represents the coffee and the other side the tea. And you're gonna see me struggle make a pattern until the end of the design stage, yeah. Her hair is very much inspired by the Mandarin duck, the male one. I interpreted it as some sort of gumi hairstyle because I don't know how else I'm supposed to put her in that kind of haircut. And another key trait of hers that is more subtle because you really have to zoom in and look at her face is that she has asymmetrical eyelids. I love asymmetrical eyelids, specifically when one person has a one monolid and then their other eyelid has a crease. I find it very striking and I've been waiting for a good time to add it to a character. Her entire design is about balanced asymmetry, essentially, so this is perfect. I like this trait because some of my loved ones have this trait. I'm also kind of aiming for all three characters here to have some motifs in common to tie them together as the starter bun. The traits would be like the asymmetry and the floral or leaf motifs. That definitely helps tie them all together when you put them all near each other. But I think it's definitely the brown color palettes that make them look like a nice set. I love making matching character sets. It's so fun. All three of them live in the same area and they all work at the same startup coffee shop because it's nearby and they're too lazy to get a job that's farther away. That's my idea for their dynamic. They all know each other, they're very familiar with each other, and they like each other. Co-worker buddies, heck yeah. For Yuanyang, this is like the least amount of concept art I have done for a character in such a long time. I literally just painted over this watercolor sketch after doing a bunch of cartoon doodles of her. I am very intent on giving her a super short skirt that she wears over capris. She has two ducks patched onto the pockets and they're different colors because again, it's another blatant reference to the Yuanyang phrase, and also I just think the ducks are cute. The patterns on the teapot are gonna do some heavy lifting here for representing what she's supposed to represent. Yuanyang's final design was so easy to draw, it's crazy. I loved rendering her. Her skirt was so much fun to draw. I ended up giving her cheongsam top a coffee bean pattern and then also a cup and tea leaf pattern. It will make her design more obvious to show what she represents. And then I also decided, you know what, she's also Buddhist, so you also get a red string and beaded bracelet. Wow, what is up with that head? It's a bit hard to tell what she's supposed to represent, but I honestly still love her. She's still my favorite. I just really like her face. Yeah. Overall, it was really fun to design some down-to-earth characters and I really like seeing them all together. Even though they're not the most flashy designs, I feel really happy when I make characters that are inspired by the people around me. And I think that they'd be great starter characters for a game like this. If you want to see my previous art, please look at my Pinterest or my personal Notion site down below. And I also have a recent video where I turn my friends' cats into characters. So thanks so much for watching! Bye, cousins!